Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Madeline Rogero, the mayor of the City of Knoxville, and I want to first welcome you all to Knoxville. I want to thank the Tennessee Human Rights Commission, Executive Director Beverly Watts, and Commissioners Pierce and Houston for holding this hearing today in our wonderful city. It's so great to see all of you in this audience as well. I do want to recognize our city councilman and former mayor, Dan Brown. Stand up, Mayor Brown. Pleased that he is here. You know, President John F. Kennedy stated that the rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. So your job is not about protecting just one group of people or a few groups of people. It is about ensuring that all of us, as residents of Knoxville and Tennessee, live in a state in which no one's rights are diminished, and where all people are respected and given opportunities to take care of themselves and their families, particularly as it relates to housing, employment, transportation, and public accommodations. It is about making sure that all people can participate fully in the life of our community. In Knoxville, we have made progress in many ways toward becoming a community that is open and welcoming to everybody. But we still see continuing challenges in many areas, and I value the support of THRC as we work together to address those. Today, my testimony will focus on 6 main topics: fair housing, equal employment, disability access, immigrants, homelessness, law enforcement, and the LGBT community. Actually, I think that's 7. Starting with fair housing. Prior to last year, the City of Knoxville was the only local government in the state that still conducted its own fair housing investigations. In other locales, THRC was responsible for investigating fair housing complaints and enforcing federal rules when necessary. Recognizing that greater coordination and success would occur by consolidating this responsibility, we worked with Executive Director Beverly Watts for a smooth transfer of our fair housing investigations to THRC. We are very pleased with the success to date and appreciate the excellent work of THRC staff. And I want to recognize 2 members of our community development department who worked through this transition. Becky Wade, who's our Director of Community Development, and Mark Rigsby, who is our Assistant Community Development Administrator. So the city staff continues to educate and raise awareness of fair housing laws and refers complaints to THRC. And once a month, we provide a table for THRC staff in the City County building to ensure access for people seeking assistance. We appreciate the work of our Public Building Authority to make that happen. More broadly, we continue to work to make sure that we are responsive to vulnerable populations across the city. Those include people with disabilities, racial and ethnic minorities, including a growing population of non-English speakers, and members of the LGBT community. Equal employment. Although Knoxville typically enjoys a lower unemployment rate than other parts of the state, we know that unemployment is disproportionately higher among African Americans and particularly males. It is my administration's goal to increase the number of minority employees with the city. We have been proactive in reviewing and revising hiring procedures to reflect this goal, and I receive a quarterly report on the progress. In addition, my administration has a goal of increasing the number of city contracts with minority and women-owned businesses. We're implementing a series of reforms in our purchasing department, and I will soon execute an executive order that holds individual department directors accountable for setting and achieving goals to increase city contracts with minority and women-owned businesses. We are not yet where we want to be on these 2 fronts, but I believe that these policy and institutional changes will help us move toward those goals. And I want to recognize Joshua Hunley, who is head of our Equal Business Opportunity Program and our Title VI coordinator for the city. Disability access. Our ADA coordinator, Stephanie Cook, provides guidance on disability access to all departments within my administration, and also to local residents and businesses seeking assistance. Stephanie staffs the Mayor's Council on Disability Issues, which I'm pleased to say is celebrating its 30th year. The council serves as an advisory group to provide direction and guidance to the mayor and city council in matters concerning persons with disabilities. For the past 2 years, Stephanie and other partners have organized the East Tennessee Accessibility Symposium to showcase solutions and innovations in accessible design for both private and public spaces. We have had great support from the Knoxville chapter of the Construction Specifications Institute, as well as many local contractors and vendors who are interested in meeting the design needs of people with disabilities. Visitability is an important issue. Homes and living spaces that are built or renovated using various City of Knoxville Housing Program funds are required to meet visibility standards, which means that they are built with accessible entrances, hallways, and bathrooms. I recently served on Governor Haslam's Task Force on Aging. One of the goals of our task force was to develop recommendations for creating livable communities for our growing senior population. Clearly, as our population ages, access will be an issue for more and more people. Our goal at the City of Knoxville is to raise awareness to a level where accessible design considerations are made on the front end rather than on the back end after a problem arises. On disability access, as in other human rights areas, we don't want to do just what we have to do because of federal or state law. We want to do what we ought to do, and we appreciate THRC's support of that mission. Immigrants. We also see growing challenges for our Hispanic population, which nearly tripled from 1.6% of city residents in the 2000 census to 4.6% in 2010. We know that language is the most significant barrier to ensuring full access to city services and resources for the Latino population. We have developed a comprehensive action plan across all city departments for addressing the needs of those with limited English proficiency, and again, Josh Lynn was key in making that happen. And that plan is currently under review by our law department. We also know that many Latino newcomers are immigrants, and immigrant populations are often vulnerable to abuse and exploitation in both housing and employment. Continued outreach and educational efforts will be required to ensure that people are aware of community resources and legal protections. We work together in these efforts with local advocacy groups such as Centro Hispano and the East Tennessee Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and I saw the former board chair, Roberta Martinez, is here as well. Where are you, Roberta? Right there. More broadly, like any metropolitan area, we see immigrants and refugees from around the world: Africa, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia. We do whatever we can to connect them with local organizations like Bridge Refugee Services and the Tennessee Immigrant and Refugee Rights Coalition, who will be testifying later. We want to make sure that they know their rights, as well as available housing, employment, and social services that are available to them. And I want to recognize our business liaison, but also someone who is our liaison to these organizations as well, and that is Patricia Robledo. Homelessness. Another vulnerable population we serve is the homeless or those in danger of becoming homeless. I've convened a mayor's roundtable on homelessness, consisting of many community partners, homeless service agencies, and faith-based organizations. Together, we have drafted a plan for a holistic, collaborative approach that focuses first on preventing homelessness and then on providing emergency and transitional services, as well as access to permanent, appropriate housing, employment, and health care. Again, I want to recognize Becky Wade and her department for doing that. The homeless plan will go to City Council for formal adoption next week, and I plan to support elements of it in my proposed budget for 2014-15. Now, speaking of health care, I was pleased to join this month with the mayors of Memphis, Nashville, and Chattanooga to encourage residents to learn about and enroll for health care under the Affordable Care Act. We jointly signed an op-ed editorial that was published in major papers in our 4 cities. And with the help of incredible volunteers and co-sponsors, I held an interfaith breakfast to disseminate information to faith-based leaders about the ACA and how their members could help get could get help in evaluating options and completing their enrollment application. And last Saturday, we held an enrollment fair at the Magnolia Avenue campus of Pellissippi State Community College. I am told that this was the biggest enrollment event held in Knoxville to date, with 106 people seeking assistance. And I want to recognize Jackie Clay, who's a project manager in my office, and Jesse Mayshark, who is our communications director, who joined with many folks I'm going to recognize in a second, to make this happen. It was exciting to talk to folks who were thrilled to get affordable health care coverage and so grateful for the assistance we were able to provide. It was also heartbreaking to see the tears of frustration and desperation from those who fell in the gap between TennCare and the ACA, those who will be left uncovered without Medicaid expansion. I want to recognize some of our partners in those two events. Get Covered America, Pellissippi State Community College, Cherokee Health Systems, Tenova, Tennessee Health Care Campaign, Knoxville Area Project Access, Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and many, many, many volunteers. Law enforcement. Our police department has increased its efforts during the past decade to train officers to treat all members of our community with respect and professionalism. Our police recruits begin cultural awareness training during the second week of the academy and continue through to the end of the 26-week training program. In all, they receive 65 plus hours of classroom time on the subjects of cultural awareness, mental illness, homelessness, crisis intervention, autism, and other issues. Classroom time includes a panel of community members who donate their time and experiences to aid in educating our new recruits. These include people who may be a member of the LGBT community, they may be racial minorities who have had experiences with law enforcement, both positive and negative, or a parent of an autistic child. By providing this type of interactive training and panel discussions, we demonstrate to our recruits our expectations of how law enforcement works together with members of the community to resolve issues in a more positive manner. And we have seen positive results of these efforts, as evidenced by the statistics from our Police Advisory Review Committee, or PARC, which is an independent board that reviews and investigates complaints about police conduct. And Avis Reed, I don't think is here today, she directs that program for us. Last year, PARC received 119 complaints for investigation, the lowest number since the committee's first full year of operation in 1999. Of those, the largest group, 32 of them, were complaints about officer rudeness or discourtesy. Only 3 were for excessive force, which was the leading complaint in the late 1990s when PARC was created. While we obviously expect there to be no complaints, and we want all of our officers to be respectful, this is clearly a sign of growing professionalism and sensitivity in our ranks. And I'd like to recognize and thank Police Chief David Roush for his continued leadership in that regard. LGBT. We have also made strides locally in ensuring equal treatment of our LGBT residents. During my first 6 months as mayor, I proposed and City Council approved an expansion of the city's non-discrimination ordinance for city employees to ensure that people cannot be discriminated against because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Last year, Knoxville became only the second city government in Tennessee and the first of the Big Four cities to expand our employee benefits to domestic partners of either gender. I'm happy to say that the response to both of these changes has been overwhelmingly positive in our city. As I conclude, I want you to know that I believe most Knoxvillians share my desire for our city to be a place where all people are valued and respected. Nevertheless, we know that progress toward that goal is not the same as reaching it. While we can be happy with how far we have come, we cannot lose sight of how far we have to go. We must continue to act thoughtfully and intentionally, not just to protect people from exclusion, but to actively invite them in. There are barriers of commission, and there are also barriers of omission. Instances where the very design of a process, or a building, or a piece of required documentation serves to wall people out. And this isn't in my notes, but I see Andre Conti, who's here. He serves with a small working group that Mayor Brown does as well, in which we are exploring the issues of violence in our community, particularly as they affect African American men and boys. And we have joined on with a nationwide effort headed by Mayors Michael Nutter and Mitch Landrieu of Philadelphia and New Orleans to address this issue as a nation with the leadership actually of President Obama, who recently announced his initiative called My Brother's Keeper. And we, hopefully you will be hearing from us soon. We have been doing a lot of investigation into the issues of violence and how to reduce violence-related deaths and provide more opportunity to African American men and boys. Thank you, Andre and Mayor Brown, for serving on that. So this is why the work of the Tennessee Human Rights Commission remains so important to the people of Knoxville and the state of Tennessee. You help us understand where those barriers are, and you help us remove them. So thank you for this opportunity to provide testimony before you. Best wishes for a very substantive and successful hearing today. I apologize, I can't stay. I would love to hear all of the testimony, but I have a meeting that I'm supposed to get to right now, and we're in the middle of budget process. So again, I look forward to watching on YouTube the rest of the testimony today. Thank you all.
We want to thank the mayor for being here. We understand busy schedules. And what we'll do is we're going to continue with the testimony. I know that David Yoder is next.
People who may be homeless.